Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to TNT. Another exciting day. Today, I'm pretending to be an at-home mom and wife, only I don't have any kids at home and my husband's out working. So that means I'm going to play hooky on that job and do some other things today. If you're not aware, Bill is out of town and he has limited access. So we're going to do our best to get this facilitated. And Carol should be linking in shortly. She's having some difficulties, but I'll start with, what am I excited about? I'm excited because we've had a lot of requests about journals and journal entries and who has to do it and what's standard of care versus what's required and what's a way to integrate it into your signing. So good news, June 27th is the next skill builder. It will be on journals. And that link is going to be notarycoach.com/journal to register for that. So that will be coming out shortly from Bill. Get registered, because that way if you can't show up at 9 o'clock on June 27th, you can at least watch the replay for a limited time. We only put it out there for 24, 48 hours, and then it goes over to the replay library, and you have to be part of LBP to access it then. But it seems like everybody wants more information about the best way to handle the journal requirement, or at least standard of care for that. So I'm very excited that we've got that ball rolling and we're good to go. So I don't see Carol yet, but I see Bill twice. Bill, are you able? You're muted, so I don't know if you're able.
Here.
Tell us what you're excited about real quick.
Well, I was real excited about finishing that pipeline for the journal, and I love how much fun we're going to have with it. It's what would Judge Judy say? So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that. I got some fun quotes coming out your way once you get registered. So that's what I'm real excited about, as well as being able to spend 3 or 4 days in the most beautiful part of Arizona. So I'm grateful, rejuvenated, and ready to kick butt this week.
Absolutely fabulous. And then I don't know, I don't see Carol yet, but when I do see her smiling face, we'll stop and ask her what she's excited about. For now, let me give you a few tips. One is, we'd like everybody to stay muted unless you're the person talking at the moment. You may even hear a little background noise on mine. My dryer's way in the back running and I can't shut it off right now. So it really does matter. And make sure that anything you want to see on camera, it will be seen. All right, so this is wear clothes kind of video because it's being recorded and we can see everything, we can hear everything. And then lastly, I want to remind you how you can participate today and ask questions. You're going to go over to the participants and hover your cursor right there, or arrow right there. And when you do that, on the left side, or excuse me, in the middle on the left side. Is it left side? Where is it? Participant. Why am I not seeing it? I see mute everybody. Isn't it on the participants?
It is on Click Participants. Yours might look a little different now because you're co-hosting.
Okay, so there's a place to raise your hand, but I just don't see where it is. So if you can find how to raise your hand, then you'll be able to talk. Carol, are you on?
Yes.
Okay, Carol, where are you? I'd love to ask what you are excited about. Talk to us, Carol.
Warm weather.
Warm weather. Not too hot?
What? No, not yet, but
okay.
At least it's warm. I've been freezing for the last 6 months.
Okay. Well, in California, where I'm at, in the middle of the state, it's supposed to reach 105 today. It was 100 yesterday and 105 today. That means indoor work for me. Indoor work with the air conditioner on. Anything I had to do, I did early. As a matter of fact, just before starting this video call, I baked peanut butter cookies so I could get that done. And can you smell them? Oh, they're so good. Let me give you a tip. If you like a little chocolate, you smear a little bit of that Nutella stuff on top of it to die for. Okay, so let's see. Have I got some hands up? I can't see hands. So Bill, there's There's a hand. Dita, can you unmute yourself?
Hi, all. Wow, we're just starting right out with questions. Okay, so I have a question regarding, and I'm trying to wrap my head around this, regarding the apparently contradictory nature of a California jurat, in which there's the box at the top that says, you know, we're not attesting to, we're not, you know what it says about the truthfulness of the document, and yet we're giving an oath to the signer, asking them to say that, in the SOS pamphlet it says, do you swear or affirm that the statements in this document are true, which by extension, I mean, since I'm taking it, would mean I think it's true. So how do you, you know?
Yeah, so really the box is to let everybody know that it's not me certifying the truthfulness of the statements. It's the signers, the ones responsible. Whether or not I think it's true or not really isn't my place. I am performing a notarization that holds the signer's feet to the fire that says, look, this is all true, and if it's not, I'm willing to go to prison. Because if you lie under oath to a notary, that's where you go.
So under the reasonable care that we're supposed to be working under, if it's untrue, I'm not going to get in trouble, for instance, if they...
No, because you did not swear it was true. The signer did.
I figured that was it, but it's a little like, you know, tweaky there. So again, just wanted to bring that. Okay, thank you.
All right, fabulous. Next, Yesenia. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Yeah.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm also baking here in Fairfield, Solano County, just like you, Laura.
Yeah.
So my question, wearing my notary signing hat, okay? Sometimes some of the assignments clearly says blue ink, some may not, right? So is the rule of thumb usually no matter what, it should be blue ink?
So I think that's a great question. And since there's no law to address that, it's the receiving agency's preference. When they say I want it in black ink or I want it in blue ink, that's really what defines that. But most of the time it says black or blue. So if I'm choosing a color, I'll tell you what I do is I always choose blue unless I'm told black. I do that because you can tell the original more easily. And I also do it because the printing of the paper's in black. And so the blue signatures and initials stand out for me. And it's easier for me to QA with blue ink than it is with black ink because it doesn't blend into the document.
Okay, so my second part of the question is then still keeping that same hat on. If it's requested blue ink, the notary part of it, does that also have to be in blue ink or does that have to be in black or it doesn't matter?
If they tell you blue ink, do everything in blue ink. Everybody should be working in the same color.
Okay, just wanted to make sure about that. But yeah, that's it for me.
Remember, what I'm telling you isn't the law. What I'm telling you is experience with, you know, signing agencies and what they like to see. They like to see everything in the same color. And then I'm telling you from experience, it's easier for me to work with blue than black.
Okay, yeah, because this year my goal was to really focus more on loan signing docs. I've been doing it on and off for the past 2 years. And so I just want to keep more of a due diligence of what's basically the norm.
Sure.
But thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody else? Lone Star Notary. Where are you? I saw you on here before. Unmute yourself.
There we go.
Okay, there you are.
Hi, Laura. It's Sebastian.
Hey, Sebastian. So what's up?
Hey, so going back to the color of the color of the pen you use, does it matter if it's a variation of blue? Because I have a blue pen that I typically use, but it's a lot, I guess I would say, brighter than some of the other blue inks out there. Does it matter if it's a like a darker, one blue is lighter than the other or darker than the other?
Well, what I would say is, I think you need to consider what's happening with those documents after you. And they're going to be scanned and or when they get filed. And so what's important is the color of the blue you're using scannable or faxable or any of those other methods, that it will show up, because there are some shades of blue that just do not show up well when they're scanned. And so you might want to test your favorite pen to make sure that you can see it after it's been scanned, because that can be an issue.
Okay, and that's what I've been using, and I usually give my signers a pen like mine. The issue is that the pens that I like are a bit more expensive. They aren't the cheap Bic pens.
Right.
And so, like, if they were to bring their own pen, a regular blue pen, and I have mine, and I sign all my notarial statements in my blue ink versus theirs, does it make a big difference? Have you seen that?
Yeah, again, I don't think it makes a big difference. I have had signers say, I want to use my own pen. I said, as long as it's blue, I'm okay with that. And their shade of blue was different than my shade of blue. So I've never had a complaint, but I don't let people work in black ink when I'm working in blue ink. It's either we're working in blue or we're working in black. And unless I had instruction to tell me to do black, because that's usually a recording agency issue, then I do blue.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Carol, let me see if we can hear you better. Where'd you go? Carol, do you have anything you want to add? Because you worked from the other end of it. You used to
Well,
work
I always used a really good pen. Can you guys hear me? Because my internet's bad. Can you hear me? Oh, okay.
Your lips
It tells me on here, you're unstable. Yeah, we used to use really good dark blue pens that were really smooth to write. Everybody always said, oh, these are really nice, easy to write. And I preferred one darker blue cover, that copies. And I'd be glad to tell people what kind of pens we used if anybody wants to know.
just shout it out.
Well, let me get one.
While she's getting her pen, I will tell you that I agree. Working with good quality pens makes it easier on your signer, makes it easier on yourself. And I gotta say, during this pandemic, I have been sanitizing my pens and letting them use the pen and sanitize it rather than giving them a cheap pen. I hate when the pens drag. I hate when the pens run out of, skip. These cheaper pens do that all the time. And so it was just easier for me to sanitize my pen, give it to them, re-sanitize it before I put it in my bag. And they love my pens. Carol? Carol, what kind of pen?
We use the Uniball, if I can read it here. Uniball, what's it? I can't read it.
Is it a Uniball gel pen?
Yeah, these are what they are, the
styles.
Uniballs. So they pull
apart. Yeah.
Yeah, these are, hold on. Vision Elite, blue black.
Okay.
Everybody always said, oh, these are nice.
Yeah.
They flow easily. They're a bit expensive, so we're not giving them out all the time. Other than if we had one person that you could only sign with their mouth, he signed with his mouth, and that was his reward.
That was his reward. Having good tools, whether it's your pens, whether it's having your certificates in your bag, whether it's having a good quality bag, all the tools that you utilize can make your job smoother and easier. When you have crappy tools, they get in the way and they make you take longer and they can create delays. So invest in having good tools to work with. All right, let's go to Keisha. Are you with us?
Hey, Laura.
Hi, I can barely hear you.
Okay. Hi, Laura. Hi, everybody. I wanted to piggyback on the concern about the disclaimer that the California use I wanted to know if I live in Texas and if I created my own notarial certificate, can we use that disclaimer as well?
I would not add another state's element to your state's language. Leave your state's language the way it is.
Okay, so well, I guess what would you recommend if we wanted to use that? Could we? I'm not sure how we would implement it, but I think that's very important for all the notaries.
Verbally, certainly you could implement it. You could have it on a card that you could show them. But I mean, when you're administering the oath is a good time to say, look, you're responsible for the truthfulness of this document, not me. You're certifying, you know, so for me, they're not reading that little box at the top. When I'm in an assignment, I tell them.
Very good.
I make them raise their hand. I do the whole ceremony because I want them to understand how significant it is and what the risks are if they're lying to me. It's not like just saying, there's some significant repercussions if they're lying to a notary. So I do verbally make sure they understand the first time, and I may have, you know, 2 or 3 oaths in a package to have to deliver. And on the other ones, I just administer the oath. I don't go through the whole explanation again.
Okay, very good. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, you guys are quick today. All right, Neil.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Neil, go ahead.
Okay, so I had a quick question. I'm brand new to Notary. I had a question about what is like the protocol for making a call when you're in a loan signing, for example. So if there's something on the documents that the borrower is saying is wrong and you have to call the loan officer, for example, what's the proper protocol to do that? Do you put it on speakerphone? Do they call, or do the loan signing agent calls, or how does that work normally?
Carol, do you want to jump in on that one? How do you teach your students? You might have to unmute yourself, Carol.
I teach them normally to read their instructions first. Oh.
Good idea. Read the instructions.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. If there's a problem at the signing table, the first thing that I tell my students to do is read their instructions. It might be very clear on there who they're supposed to call. Those days of being able to pick up the phone and talk to the loan officer are pretty much gone.
Yeah.
A lot of the signing companies want you to call them directly because in years gone past, go back and say, your notary is a moron because they asked me this and this question. And so to avert that, you need to give them the telephone number of the loan officer, especially if there's a problem. Then I suggest call the loan officer. Otherwise, call the signing service or the title company.
And I think, Carol, to add to that, it depends on what your issue is. You know, if it's a notary issue, then don't be calling the lender, right? If it's a notary issue, you're either going to look it up yourself, you're going to call a more experienced notary, you're going to call the NNA hotline, you're going to do something to get a notarial answer. You're not going to get that from the lender. The other thing I would add is that I do use speakerphone when I'm the one having to place the call to the company who hired me, or if I was calling the hotline. If it's the lender, I let the signers make the call to their contact and let them ask their question.
Okay.
And they usually use speaker as well. They'll say, I'm here with the notary and I can hear what's going on.
Okay, I understand.
All right, Neil, thanks. Let's see, it just says Maryland. I don't think that's your first name.
It is actually.
Is it?
Yeah. Marilyn, can you unmute?
Maryland.
There she goes.
Yes, did I unmute?
Okay, Maryland. Thanks for joining us.
Yes. How is everybody?
Fabulous.
Good. I have like maybe 3 or 4 questions altogether. Start with the first one. Is there a particular bag that you would recommend that a notary get? Because you said that's an important tool.
Yeah, and I think Bill has a bag that he highly recommends. Bill, can you jump in quick and just mention the kind of bag you use?
Absolutely. I'll even put a link to it. I'm going to jump on Amazon right now. It's just the Amazon Katie Crazy Horse bag. I'll put a link on the Amazon. But we're giving away a bunch of those this month too. But awesome bag. It's been my favorite, and I have gone through dozens and dozens and dozens in this business. But I'll post a link.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right, thank you. Second question, okay.
Go ahead. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I'm going to be a general notary more, okay. Would you recommend or suggest that I have a credit card processor so that I can get paid right on the spot, like a Square or something like that? Is that?
Absolutely. I use Square.
You use Square?
I use Square, but you know what? There's other ways that you can take it. Stripe's another way. Bill, can you name another way to take credit card besides Square and Stripe?
Those are two of my favorites.
Yeah, my favorites, but you can even use your own bank.
Yep, you can use PayPal.
PayPal, yeah, there's another one.
Okay.
But absolutely, it makes a difference. Sometimes people cannot run out and get cash, and I don't take checks unless it's a company.
Yes. Okay, all right. Last question, okay. If I'm getting ready to make the call to my 100 contact list that I have made up, all right?
Yes.
Some of them I have not spoken to for a while, and I just want to preview for them that I'm in the business now. Is there a script somewhere, Bill or Laura, that I can use where I don't feel like I'm being obnoxious? I guess would be the word I would say.
I love that you're even thinking about this. This is what I talk. I call it tickling, or just staying in touch. So what I might start doing, Marilyn, is I might lay out a little bit of a plan, because one of the things I'm most self-conscious about is just being that guy, right? The one that you never hear from for 2 years, and then all of a sudden I have a new opportunity and I start reaching out to you.
Right.
I don't want to be that person. So instead, what I'll do is good. So people usually don't. So what you might start doing is if you're on social media, maybe start posting a little bit about what it is that you're doing, so they might see it. They might even start asking you about it if these are old contacts via LinkedIn or Facebook or anything like that. Then start adding some content, some valuable content, maybe not designed to sell anything or introduce a new opportunity, but just a way to say, hey, here's some valuable information. And then your signature line might have what it is that you're doing now. And then the people who are close to you and interested will actually ask you about it. Oh, tell me about this that you've got going on. Then you kind of build up into just an introduction. Hey guys, you probably saw that I'm in this new venture. I'm super excited about it. Things are going so well. I'd love to talk to you about it. I'd love to see how I can support you in your business as well. Then you could either set up in-person meetings, Zoom meetings, just let it be email, Facebook connections, or whatever it might be.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, thank you very much. Those are my questions. I appreciate it.
And I love how Bill did a build-up. It started out small, just, hey, keep in touch, noticing this, before he gets to even saying, look, I'm doing something. It isn't about him.
Right.
Until later.
Right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, looks like we've got Tracy. Tracy, are you able to unmute yourself?
Unmuted me. Okay, my question's kind of a in-depth one, I guess. If you're actually working for a signing company through SnapDocs, per se, how can you make sure that they are going to pay you instead of making excuses where they don't want to pay you?
Well, okay. That was the whole question, is about ensuring payment.
Ensuring payment and making myself, not me doing it, but the actual signing company making me look bad to the actual client. Does that make sense?
Well, I got the first part of it, which was you want to make sure when you take on a job that you don't have to nag to get your money.
Right.
They keep their part of the bargain.
Right. And the second part of it is I've gone to a couple of closings and are signing, and they're upset with me because I didn't show up on time. But I show up when I call them and tell them I'm going to be there. But apparently they've assigned 2 or 3 different signing agents to the job before me.
Yeah, that just happened to me. Just happened to me twice. Okay, so the first part is, I think it's important when you do work for a signing service, a third party, that you find out up front, what do I need to do to get paid? Do I need a W-9 on file? Do you need a copy of my commission? What are the things? Do I need to go through a completion portal? What are the steps I need to take? That's your system, because you want to stay within their system and so that you'll get paid. Those are the upfront things that you want to do. On the back end, of course, you need some kind of tickler file. I use Notary Assist. I run that report every week. And when somebody hits the deadline for when I'm supposed to be paid, there goes my first email to them. Oh my gosh, looks like there could have been an oversight. Maybe it was me. Not sure. Could you help me resolve this? I have an open order with you. If you've already paid, just let me know the date and the check number and the amount you sent it for, and I can take care of this. If you haven't, could you please let me know when I might expect it? So I always start from a place of, it was an oversight and it could have even been mine. Nobody's trying not to pay me, right? And then I start timing it out. They get 3 communications from me. The 4th one isn't from me. The 4th one, that's gonna be from the attorneys. That is a demand letter that says, look, you sent me an assignment. I have a contract. That's my confirmation. I did the work. You didn't complain that it wasn't done. You have this amount of time or the next legal steps will be taken. I've only had to do that a couple times, and of course they paid immediately. So
Okay,
that's the first
what
part.
do you give them, 30 days to actually pay?
In the first place,
Mhm.
it depends on who the client is. When the client is a title company, it's usually 10 to 14 days.
Okay.
And sometimes it's sooner than that. When it's general work, I'm paid on the spot. When it's a signing service, it's typically closer to 30 days.
Okay.
The signing companies I work for, I don't work for a signing company if they tell me it's going to be 60 days. It's just not a good fit for us. And
Right.
sometimes you have to ask yourself that.
Exactly.
Is this going to be a good fit for me? Go ahead, Bill.
Sorry. I'm glad that you brought that up, Laura. I think too, there's a little bit of due diligence that can be done on the front end. Sorry, 1 second. I had to switch accounts, so I apologize. And one of my favorite resources for this is Notary Reviews with Carrie Rivera.
Yes.
There is a list of 600 hiring companies, and they're star rated and reviewed by other signing agents that have been hired by those companies. So if there's a company that that's notorious for not paying or slow paying, you can see it right on that list. They got a 1-star or 2-star rating, to avoid them. On her list, I find that 3-star ratings still might be decent companies, but they might take 60 to 90 days to pay. And obviously notaries don't like that. But you'll find that the 4 and the 5-star rated companies are the ones that pay well, they pay on time, and they're a joy to work with. So having access to a resource like that really helps you in the beginning even determine if you get a signal,
Right.
they've got a 2-star rating that they're going to be slow to pay, then in advance, and you can opt out, basically choose out.
Yeah, I agree. And here's another example of investing in resources and tools to make your job easier. It's not a lot of money to belong to Carrie's site, and you get such valuable information that you can use every day. And somebody else is doing all that work, for you, pulling all those reviews together. And, there wasn't anything like that for me. And in my first years of being a notary, I probably lost anywhere from $500 to $750 every year in just assignments that never got paid, and I got tired of chasing it down. So we are lucky to have that kind of resource available, so make use of it.
One
Okay,
of the
so
things if I may, I'd like to add to that.
Yes, Carol.
It says my internet's unstable, but one of the things that I advise my students is to absolutely, even if you take these signing and then you have an opportunity to look them up, if you see that this is a non-paying company, I think it's just decided against taking the signing and telling them why. Because you don't respect the notaries, you have a history of non-payment, and opt out. Don't feel bad about it ever, because companies like that who micromanage you, who don't pay you, they're not worth working for. Don't give them your time.
Yeah, that's a good ad there.
Everybody's very quiet.
Mhm.
okay, so what about on the other part of the question where I've gotten emails from the client, kind of nasty emails about not showing up, closing with it this time, and when in fact it was not assigned to me at that. And then they get all, they're upset. So how do you handle that? You said it happened to you twice this week. I mean,
yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but it did happen. Where I called the guy and said, hey, I'm Laura, I'm going to be your notary. I'm going to be there at, this time. And he said, well, what about Carla?
Yeah.
I said,
exactly.
Carla? Said, well, she was here earlier, but there was a problem with the paperwork. So she said she'd be back at that time. Is she not available now? And I'm like, oh, you know what? It sounds like maybe something has occurred and the scheduling department didn't realize that the notary was still available. Let me take care of that for you. Let me go check it out. And I did. I called and said, hey, what's going on? I said, oh my God, we're so sorry. It was an accident. We did not realize she was still available and she was taking care of it. So I called him back and said, look, you're getting Carla. She was available. I'm sorry to have interrupted and everything's good. And just, reassured him that everything was fine. So that one worked out fine. The other one was, he was expecting me at like 10 in the morning. Excuse me. He was expecting me at 10 in the morning, but I didn't even get the call till 10 in the morning. Whoever the other notary was, I don't know what didn't work out. And he's like, hey, I thought you were going to be here at 10. Why are you just calling me now? And so, I'm honest, but I don't blame anybody. Sometimes things happen. I don't know if it was the notary who became unexpectedly unavailable. The paperwork wasn't available. What I do know is we've got paperwork. I'm your notary, and I'm ready to come to you right now as soon as I can get there. Is that going to work for you? So you just acknowledge that they're upset and then assure them that everything's back on track and you're coming right now. Or whatever time it is you're telling them you're coming. So one, they need to be heard. And then two, you need to let them know it's going to be okay. Carol, I don't see your face. Okay, so Bill, I don't know if you
Yes.
want.
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you want to add to that, please?
Yeah, just a little bit. These are unfortunate circumstances when they happen. The key is not to take this personally. Nobody's personally out to get you, trying to take signings from you. And you'll see it in the forums. People are just livid and they just take it so personal and they're just devastated. It's ruined their whole day whenever they do that. It doesn't have to be that way, guys. Nobody's intentionally doing this. Sometimes there's overlaps and mistakes that happen. If you find a company that continually does it, stop working with them. Yeah. Your peace of mind is worth way more than you'll ever make in dollars in this business. You don't have to work with everybody that offers you a job, but just know that it's not intentional. They're not doing it on purpose. Let it go. And like Laura said, you want to be the conduit of communication. Own this client. And if you've been double booked and they're communicating with you and they're confused, somebody's confused in the process. Just be that beacon of light that they need to help get the clarity they need and move on. That was
Absolutely. It. Thanks, Bill. Let me just see where we're at. All right. I'll take a couple more, and then if Carol's internet works, I know she wanted to talk about SPW today. So I think I got Nikki. You there, Nikki?
Hi. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, Nikki, how you doing?
Good, thank you. So back to your original comment about giving an oath. Sometimes I have given one oath at the where the document has the first jurat, right. And then I say there will be many other documents in this packet that where this oath will apply. And then when we go to sign the next document, I have said the oath applies to this document also. Can I do that, or is it best to give the oath each time there's a jurat?
So I think you're going to have different opinions on this. I know that Carol and Bill and I don't have exactly the same opinion. I can just give you mine, but mine, remember, is coming from the perspective of somebody that teaches notary law for California. And the expectation from our Secretary of State is that you will re-administer the oath because the oath is meant for that document in particular. And then you need a fresh oath for that document in particular. And if any one of those singular documents come into question, the oath applies to that one because you gave it to them on that one. It wasn't, you know, by the way, this one too. It's not a Me Too situation.
And
So
then
that's my
clients, how are they reacting to having to take?
I've never had negativity, ever.
Okay.
I never have. I've had curiosity about why you make me raise my hand. Nobody's ever done this before. But other than amusement, no, I've never had anybody refuse or say, why are you doing this? Ever.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Nikki, Julie. Julie. Are you on? Are you still muted? You're muted, Julie. I'll unmute you. Are you there?
And Laura, I'm here. I took myself off of video. It's Carol.
All right, Carol. Well, I wanted to make sure we had time today. I'll come back to Julie. She didn't respond. I want to make sure we didn't go too far and then not have a chance for you to talk a little bit about SBC. So I'd like to, you know, stop for a few minutes here and let you talk a little bit about that.
Okay, I get a lot of questions about the laws and the regulations and what their demands are on them now as notary publics, and it goes back to 2000W. Everybody? Nobody? SPW is the Signing Professionals Work Group, and it was a group of major banks and title companies that decided to get together and come up with an instruction manual, if you will. The group was formed. They couldn't do it themselves. The NNA came in and said, you can't do that because you're going to be breaking the law and you're liable to get fair trade on your rear end. And so through the NNA, they formed this group called the SPW. And what they did, charged regular money, $2,000 to see.
All right,
Our
Carol.
internet's been terrible. Can you hear me at all? Can you hear me? Okay. Was started under the guise of the NNA, which I don't know if you remember, Laura, because you and I have been around a long time.
Yes.
But they got together and they put a set of rules together that they demanded that the notaries behave and do certain things. FPB stepped in, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and all of them kind of ganged up on us and started demanding that we get background screenings. A lot of procedures take place, even though we're in California and they're as strict as it comes. The FBI, everything, very comprehensive background screenings. In addition to that, now they wanted us to get additional background screenings. They decided that being certified every year was important. And a lot of things that, in my opinion, were not needed. They weren't required. They ended up, this really was from this Signing Professionals Work Group. I had a blog that I did on it. It was quite lengthy. If anybody's interested in it, I would be more than happy to send it to you. Just write to me. Send it. It's more explanatory than what I want to go into here. But that's where all of this came from. We were kind of freewheeling and happy. in 2012, and then 2013, not so much. So that's all. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but I think the newbies.
Carol, can you in the chat room, can you post a link to where your blog is? Carol, are you here?
Yeah, actually, I don't have them up anymore, but I'll put,
okay.
they can just write to me.
Okay.
I'll do it.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. If you've not been around, you know, more than 5 or 6 years, that's when all that stuff was happening. And it's more than that even. Some things, you know, did kind of drop away, but, you know, the annual background screenings are still in play. Having some kind of education and an examination is still in play. So there are a lot of those things still working today. All right, so let's go back to some questions. The one I have at the top is iPhone. Who are you, iPhone?
Hi, I think that's me. This is Sharon Brake. How are you?
Sharon, good.
Good. Okay, I have a couple of questions. As far as a LinkedIn profile for my business, for my notary business, now I have a separate profile for my other career that I've had for many, many years. So I wanted to know how that comes into play. Are you allowed to have a separate business page on LinkedIn? And is there any recommendation on how it should be set up if you're a new notary? I mean, I don't have any connections yet, except of the notaries that I've met recently that I'm trying to connect with or will connect with. But any suggestions on that?
Bill, do you have any? I have a business page for Symposium separate from my own page. So I know that you can, but I don't really know anything more than that.
And I'm sorry, the question was garbled on my end. What was the question?
About LinkedIn. Can she have more than one LinkedIn page? If she's got her page she's had from one life and now she wants to have another one.
It's not recommended. And we're going to have a LinkedIn Now for Notaries training on this exact topic on June 8th, www.notarycoach.com/Sandra Long, and I'll put that in the chat window as well. But in LinkedIn, you can actually have a business page, very similar to Facebook. So you can have your main profile page. So it's real important, and it's not a requirement to leave your past career behind. It is totally okay to blend this in. There are people who are in a circumstance where that's just not a possibility, in which case we might want to look at a different platform altogether so you can have a totally separate platform. But if you're going to be on LinkedIn, just have your main profile, and then you can have different business pages for each business you might own or be a part of. That's the best practice.
Okay, and I do have one more question, and I will definitely be on that call for the LinkedIn for notaries. The separate question I have is, if you're on an assignment and it's after hours and the borrower or signer has a question that comes up, what would be your resource or recommendation for getting that question addressed? I mean, if the lender's gone, it's after hours, who do you reach out to for answers?
Well, that's a great question, because I think it does happen to us. And depending on what it is, your own training. So if, like, you have Carol's Notary to Pro, she can provide answers. If you're Sign and Thrive with Bill, he has a process that he can provide answers. People that I coach, I provide, you know, real-time answers. If it's notary specific, it could be the NNA hotline. If you are part of a smaller notary team or group meetup, that's one of the ways that you can help each other, is to be each other's hotline, because you may know things they don't know and they may know things you don't know. So those are all ways that you might be able to get the answer, depending on what it is specifically. If it's lender specific, I don't think we're going to be able to help you on what the lender wants. We're not the lender.
So then you would have to then leave the signing and I mean, may not be able to complete the signing and possibly reschedule if the borrower doesn't feel they can move forward.
If the borrower, I wouldn't just stop. I'd be calling my hiring company. My hiring company better have support for me. I better be able to call somebody in my own, who hired me, to say, hey, the signer doesn't want to go forward. We can't find an answer on this. I wouldn't just stop and leave.
Oh, okay. No, I wasn't sure if the signing company, if they're still around, if it's signing is occurring after.
Signing services that I work for, they have after hours support. If they don't, then not a good fit for me.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Bill, do you have anything you want to add to that? Maybe not.
Laura, I do.
Oh, Carol. Okay.
Now I've turned off my microphone. I mean my vision thing.
Yeah.
Somebody suggested that might help my me be clearer in my speech. So sorry if you can't hear me. It's a bad internet connection with everybody home drawing on the internet here. Is that we're getting groups together at Notary to Pro where we have an elite list and they can find people by their zip code on the list that we provide, and they're meeting up, and it's just a few groups now, but I'm hoping it's really going to grow and change things with people that you trust is an amazing advantage to you, to get some insight into, you know, companies that you're getting work from and relying on one another. You have to have a group though that you're going to trust.
That's
going
good
to
to
be
know.
just confined to 3 or 4 of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bill, I think you were going to jump in. Change your mind?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
So it was about if it's after hours, the signing is after hours, and there's an issue, and you call the, you know, the lender and nobody's there. What do you do?
Yeah, good question. So I like to preface everything in the signing with communication with the signer. I just ask them, is this a deal breaker? And if this is a deal breaker, like if the answer to this question was yes or no, is this going to mean you do not want to move forward on the loan? If that is a yes, this is a deal breaker, then we got to do everything we can to find somebody to talk to and get the clarity. If we can't have it, there's really nothing else that we can do as the loan signing agent. We can communicate, we can send notification, we can let everybody know. That's our responsibility. From there's not a whole lot we can do. If it's not a deal breaker, then I go through and I make a little manual list of questions. Okay, these are the things that we need some clarity on. We got everything signed, dated, ready to go. I can drop these off, but you as the signer, as the borrower, you still get the final say. If the title company gets these and they have a notice from you that says, please do not close until I have the clarity I need, then the escrow, the independent third-party closing agent, the escrow officer, is going to hold off on that. You're not authorizing the transaction to close because you have some questions. And that usually will work out just fine.
Thanks, Bill. All right. Let's drop down to Nancy Huffaker. Nancy, you still with us?
I'm here. Hi. This is since we're in the marketing day today with the bags and everything else, how about a recommended printer, especially for if you're doing the loan signing?
So, you know, there's a couple brands that you're going to hear over and over again, the HP brand and the Brother brand.
Any particular models?
Well, probably whatever the latest one is probably faster than the previous model. Mine is, I want to say it's a 6200. So mine is probably a couple models ago.
It's actually, these are still the ones I give away. The Brother HL 6200 dual tray. It is a workhorse.
It is.
Now, whenever I'm in full capacity, guys, I would go through 2 of these a year, but you know, at $320, $340, to me, that was worth it. Some of these have lasted. I've seen some people talk about they bought theirs 6 or 7 years ago. Laura, I think you have a good history with these workhorse printers.
I've had a very good history. I'm on probably my 3rd in 16 years. So that tells you it takes me a while. And as a matter of fact, the one previous to this one, I moved to my physical office. So I have a printer there. It's not that it broke. I just decided it was getting old, just in case, let me get to the newer, better, faster. And I moved that one to my office and it still works. All right. So
thank you.
There you go. The Brother is probably what you'll see us, but I also hear people recommending the HPs as well.
So any Brother dual tray?
Well, the one that you see, the 6200 dual tray is probably the the workhorse that Bill's talking about. I don't know what the other models are.
I just put a link in the chat window so you can check it out, but it has the dual tray, and the 6200 just makes it prints out faster than the 5200, but it's not that much of a difference. I've noticed the 5200 does just fine as well, and it's about $80 cheaper.
Yeah, that's my old one. I tell you what, you know, less than 10 minutes, I've got everything printed twice. It just really shoots that stuff out. I just love it. Let's go to Eileen.
Hi there. I'm fairly new and I have a couple of questions. So I've been a notary for like over 20 years, but not a loan signing agent. And do you recommend, what do you recommend for the E&O insurance when you're first starting, when you sign up with the NNA first to begin with?
So I'm going to give you two levels. You know, if you're going to be working with signing services, 25,000 is all you need. If you want to work direct with title and escrow, 95% of the time, 100,000 is either required or all you need. There are a couple that want 500,000, and for those, I just work under a signing service instead of directly for them. But 100,000 will pretty much cover almost anybody you want to work for.
Okay, because
I don't recommend more is better, because more is just more deep pocket to sue you. So get just what you need.
Okay, well, because when I started out, I wanted to work through a loan signing agent if I could in the beginning, and then change it and go up from there. You know, if I need to get 100,000 on that respect.
Yeah, you can upgrade at any time, and they'll give you credit for what was unused and apply it to the higher one.
Okay, and my other question is, do you recommend that, like when I mean, I've been toying with this for like a long time already, and I know I just need to do it because I used to be an escrow officer, but a long time ago, but I haven't been around since the signing part, because everything has changed. Do you recommend that, I'm not sure how to phrase this, sorry. So should I work with a company like the, to test for the NNA? Should I do some kind of, like with Bill's course or yours or whatever, do that first to take the certification? That makes sense, like to prepare for the testing for the NNA.
So I like Carol and Bill's courses, frankly. I think they do a great job for, you know, what's really going on at the table. You know what, handling documents, getting stuff done up front and the back end. For the NNA exam, when you're talking about the exam, and plus Bill has a test taking party as well, that can help you prepare for that. And if you are part of Sign and Thrive, then you have access to that. So I highly would recommend that because he has a really high passing rate for the people that participate in that. The two things that you want to have accessible to you at the time of testing is that code of ethics and the script guidelines, because questions are going to come from there. So you might as well have those documents in front of you. You can access, if you bought the NNA class, you'll get it. But if you didn't, you can get it from the Signing Professionals Work Group. You heard Carol talk about that. I want to say .org. And they actually have both of those there. You can download them. Bill, do you have them?
No, I think there's a link inside the course, but there's also a link when you start taking the test. There's actually, it's right there, and under each question is a link to the code of conduct that is about that question. So it's not the most difficult test, and it's not what you might think of for most certification exams, where you take it and then you're prepared to enter the workforce. This is a little different. The NNA certification is only about the code of conduct. It's not really about the day-to-day activities. There's a little bit, but it doesn't require like months of training or preparation. It's good, it's necessary information to hold us all to a national standard, but there's so much more when it comes to the day-to-day. So don't, if you were gonna freak out on a test, this is not the one to do it on.
Okay, great, thank you, appreciate it.
If I would look at the NNA test as really industry. It's a picture. Carol, say it again.
I can't hear her.
Laura? Yeah, Carol.
No NNA for your Can you hear me?
No.
Yes. What did you want to say?
We encourage our graduates to go to the NNA. We encourage our graduates to go to the NNA to get the background screening and access to the exam. We help them with the study materials so they never fail, and that gives them what they need if they choose not to take the NNA training.
Right. And I agree. You want that NNA certification. And somebody asked in the chat room, it is annual.
Did you hear
Every
me?
time you get the background check, you also have to retake an exam.
Oh, okay. Okay. So do you recommend like doing the course first and then doing the certification, or does it matter? Or
You don't have to take the NNA course to get NNA certification.
oh, okay.
You could take Bill's course, you could take Carol's course,
Right.
and then you could just buy the background screen and test and have the NNA certification.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Jerry, are you still on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Jerry, I think you're gonna be, depending on how long this goes, you might be our last person. What do you got?
Okay. Hey, I did 3 loan signing job this weekend, back to back, 3 different cities, and I live in another city. So I really need a mobile printing unit. What do you recommend, if there is such a thing?
Sure there are, but I'm probably not the right person to recommend it because I don't keep a mobile printer in my car. Bill, do you
Okay.
have one?
So I tried this, but I don't have the technology patience required for it. Now, here's what I've heard, and I'd love to hear people on the chat window. And I have 2 videos on YouTube with people who have students who have created mobile offices that might give you more information on the specific. What I've heard is that the dual tray brothers do not work so well in the vehicle. So what people do instead is they get maybe a more traditional single drawer printer that works with less power, because you've got to have a power converter in your vehicle to handle the printer, and if you have a scanner, you'll need that as well. So it's actually pretty complex, and I know that there's 7 and a couple of others are providing some of that information to help you out. So if there's anybody on the chat window that could add to this in the chat window, I'd love it, and maybe we could connect outside of this, and we can get you more details on how to set up a mobile.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Jerry. All right, how about Samsung SM? Who are you? Are you there?
Hi, this is Donna. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Okay, perfect. I want to thank you to Bill for inviting me on here. This is my first time, so I'm excited and nervous.
Thanks for being
So
here.
my first question is, so my first question is websites. I have been a notary for years, but I become a signing agent a couple years ago. And I'm a little confused. I know that there was parts where we were not allowed to have websites, and then there are parts where we can have websites. But so I am a little confused about that. Are we allowed?
Well, so I don't know of any state that does not allow a notary to have a website or to advertise. I know you have to be a little bit careful with some of the language that you use, especially in certain states. But as far as having a website, we're a business and we're a service to the public. So absolutely, especially if you're going into general notary work, you'll want to have a website. On the loan signing side, it's not as critical to get new clients, but you can bet that clients that you're prospecting are going to check you out and research you, so they would want to see a web presence. So it's important either way. But for general notary work, it's a huge lead magnet, especially when you get into the search engine optimization.
Perfect, because I just got done doing my remote and electronic course through the NNA, and so I do want to get started on that. Now, a question on that. I did notice that the vendors do charge to sign up with them, which is fine. But my question is, the pay more for the vendors or less? for a better company. Does that
So
make
I'm,
sense?
when you say vendors, are you talking about signing companies?
I apologize. The vendors for the remote and electronic
Oh,
signing.
the platform for Ron.
Oh, the platforms.
Yes.
Okay, so I was going a different direction. I'm sorry, what was the question?
I was wondering, I know that they all cost money. I just didn't know because some of them are extremely high and others are not. So with me being new at this, I was just wondering if the more expensive ones are the ones to go with or try out the lower price first.
You know, there's much bigger difference in the platforms than just the cost. So
Yeah.
it's real important that you, number one, research which platforms are available in your state. Once you've done that and you have an idea, what you want to do is kind of narrow it down based on your business model. Some of these platforms do not allow you to work independently, meaning you cannot bring your own customers to their platform. You can only work through title companies or approved lenders or whatever it might be. If that works for your business model, great. But if it doesn't, if you're planning to go out and market and grow your business and you want to grow your remote online notarization business, you're going to need a platform that allows you to work on it independently. And that would be your most critical question to answer. And if the only options were the expensive ones, then that would be the price that you would pay. That's your cost of doing business if you want to grow that remote online notarization. Laura, what do you think?
That's exactly what I'm looking for. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Just to wrap that up, because we are at the end, there are significant differences. And I also want to make sure that you guys understand that Ron, this is a good time to be investigating it and finding out what's available. But remember, not all states have accommodated extra fees that you're going to pay to have the technology. Not all IDs work. Not all signers can work with that if they are not somebody with a social security number. This is not for foreign people. It's for Americans out of the country or in another state. So there are a lot of issues still being worked out with Ron. So be careful about dumping a lot of money into that platform that you might not be able to get back, only to find out that it's not a revenue generating activity yet for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right, you're welcome. Well, you guys, guess what? It is already 1:04. So we've gotten to the end of the road for today. Thank you all for participating. Bill, thanks for coming into town so you could help us facilitate the call. Carol, I don't know if we lost you all together, but thanks for being on today. Glad to see you all, and we'll see you again next Tuesday. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Love it. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for growing yourself and your business on the Tuesday. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.